Hey, what's going on, Profit Bulls? We're going to cover the stocks from this past week. I'm your host, Dom, so let's get to it. We will cover the most popular gainers and losers of the market. Let me know what stocks that you have traded or watched in this past week. Come join us on our Facebook group and Discord. Hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Hey, what's going on, Profit Bulls? We're going to cover now the most popular stocks from this past week. We have DK up here. You can see that on a 1 minute chart it had nothing but a good Friday, just an uptrend. Here we're looking at a 3-year week chart, and it's starting to come together. You know, this coronavirus is almost over. This was a fall off of the coronavirus, and it's starting to move back up. It's starting to move back up. I see only one early resistance level. It's right about here, so we're gonna put in a resistance here, right there. The next one will probably be around here. So there's a potential growth on the upside. They do have earnings on, okay, so the earnings was done with, and on the 19th they have dividend payout of 31 cents. So there's a potential for an uptrend in the market. You can see down here with the MACD indicator, it is currently in the upside movement. On the 3-year chart, we're going to look at the 180-day 4-hour chart, get a better view. Goes back out. So let's look at this area here. So it's crossed over the 180-day simple moving average. And it's holding. It did bounce down here. There is a resistance right about there. It bounced, pulled back down. It bounced, pulled back down, hit the Bollinger Band and the exponential moving average here. It pulled down, and now it's trending above. So we'll see what this week comes about. If it hits resistance, and it's probably going to bounce back down again, because this is not really a double top, but I mean, it could be considered a double top, and then it just had a pullback. This would be like the support area right about here. So if it does fall on Monday or Tuesday, then you can know to pay attention to around the $19 area. You know, if you want to buy back in, and you know, just make a quick few dollar trade. 21% increase from 19 to around 23 bucks. So we're gonna go ahead and add this one to our watch list. So I want to do a create alert and say at or below, and then create alert for up here, at or above. Then I know that it's, you know, it's trending above the market or the previous highs. So when this passes above, I'll know. Then I can make a decision if I want to hold it for a long term, or you know, if it hits back down here, because this is showing signs of a descending pattern right now. Descending pattern. So it is, if it holds above this line, there's, you know, it's a possibility that it can, you know, break above this and then break above the resistance, or it could fall between. But we got to see what Monday holds, and we'll look at the news down here if there's news coming out. So I'm going to add this one to my watch list. Delta Kilo. Alright, so let's look at the next stock to break down. Google. G-O-O-G. So let's look at a year chart again. We'll bring this one over. This is the 1 minute chart, which we probably don't need to really look at. We'll look at the 5 minute, 5 day, or 1 minute, 5 day, and see how that turned out. So it had a pullback in the morning on Friday, and then it showed that the candle pattern going down, and looked like news came out, and it just pushed up. Then it fell off after midday, had a support right around here, had a support right about here, and it broke around support at the market close. Now if we look over on this side, the 1 year chart, you can see that the coronavirus here, there was even a gap down, and it just continued to downtrend, and it started to uptrend again, and it broke above the 180-day simple moving average line. So that's good news. There's a support there's support right around here. Zoom back in. So there's one support. The next support is right around here. We can get rid of this one. So right now, if the stock continues to rise this next coming weeks, then you can see, you know, a potential increase of profit from, let's do it from this candle, right about here to here, around 6%, 6.5%. There is another resistance right about here. Let's get this one out here. So there's another resistance right about here, even from 1388 up to 1462. That's almost nearly $100 increase. It does have to pass this gap on this side. There's another support. I didn't see this one here. Another resistance, sorry, right about here, and you can see that by the candle. We'll zoom in on that. So these two candles here, it met the resistance. There's a possibility for a you know, a downtrend to this support, or it's going to come down here. It's just news dictates. I'm going to go ahead and set an alert here for a downwards move, so at or below, and we're going to go ahead and add this one. I already have two set up here, so I'm going to add this one to my watch list. Google. Alright, the next one we're going to look at, excuse me, let me do the 180 day, see what we're looking at. So the 180 day, yeah, you can see that it stayed between the Bollinger Bands. The SMA started to cross over the middle of the Bollinger Band, and then it started uptrend. It had a pullback, but the EMA stayed above the blue line, and then the 180-day white line came underneath, so it started to uptrend. You can see that the pullback hit the 180-day. This would be acting as a support. You can see that by these candles here. That's the support. You can see it bounced, touched, then it started to uptrend. There was even a red candle here on the 4 hour, and the next 4 hours of the market, it had even a pullback to the support up after hours. After market hours, it pulled up, started touching the resistance, had a pullback to around the EMA middle Bollinger Band. Then it continued to gap up after market hours. Pre-market, it started to push, and then it continued just an uptrend. So we're going to go ahead and add, Google's added. So now we're going to look at the next one, which is IM. Let's look at the year chart first. If it wants to pop up. Let me try that again. Alright, let's try Jets. So you can see that in the year chart, here's the Corona Mayhem. It came down. It hit pretty much a support right about here. Support right around this area. You can see that almost the whole candles are high. The first uptrend was hit a high around 18 bucks, and then it just fell from there. So then it fell down to the support, and it's showing that it was a pretty much a descending pattern right here. Let me redo that line. So it's showing that it's a downtrend. This is considered a double top right here. This would be considered roughly around a double top here. Normally on double tops you can see that it would fall off, and it did, and it hit the right around support on the Bollinger Band and the support down here. So this would be resistance is the double top, and then your ultimate resistance is 180 day, can also act as a support or resistance. Underneath, when the candles are underneath, it would be resistance. When it's above, it would be support, like this here. It hit the support, went up, hit pretty close to support, went up, and then the coronavirus. So let's zoom in. You can see that yeah, that it is in a double top and descending pattern. It does pull down to support once, near twice. This kind of stayed in between, pushed up, came down. Let's look at the 180 day chart. 180 day, let's back out and see what we're looking at here. 180 day. So yeah, you can see that it was nothing but a descending pattern here, and then it pulled up, pretty much had a double top right here in the pre-market hours. Aftermarket, pre-market, had a double top, couldn't hold even pre-market on this one here. Let's zoom in so I can show you. Couldn't even hold pre-market, and then it just started to drop down. And then it came back around your support right around here. Went up, double top, or in this case triple top, and then down, back up, and down. So right here in this area on the 180 day chart, you see that the 100 day EMA, it couldn't hold above it, and it just broke below. And here's that descending pattern right now. It is on the MACD showing that it is uptrending, and the RSI is relatively good for the relative strength index. It is a little bit on the overbought side. Like this would be overbought in this area. It doesn't mean nothing really. I've seen stocks go, week or two overbought, but it'll eventually level itself out. I'm gonna put in a alert here for when it descends to this, because to me it looks like it's gonna descend. Depending on news too. You always gotta watch the news, what's happening. So I'm gonna add jets. If it breaks above the 180 day, I'm gonna put alert here too. Let's say if it breaks above. Alright, so we're gonna put jets in. Let's take a look at one more stock for the most popular. How about Mark? Let's see what Mark has to say. So yeah, you can see that it passed the double top here. Let's look at the 180 1 year delta time frame. Get a better understanding when it's not so cluttered. So let's take a 2 year time frame. So it was a high of 650, and it's just nothing but a descending pattern. You can see that it descended. This was November, December area, and then around January it started pushing up. Couldn't hold above the EMA, excuse me, the SMA, simple moving average. Then it just dropped, and it's just showing a continued downtrend. Look at that, 25 cents, and it's starting to push back up. It's currently at $1.04. It is right now currently above the 180 day simple moving average, which is good. If this continues to hold above, then it could be a possible play up to the yeah, right about here. Right around there, you can make a potential profit of 112%. But for me, the charts are too choppy. There's no real movement. It just stays in between. So I personally would not trade this. There is a support down here. It looks like right about here is a support. So this stock could fall. If it doesn't break above this line here, it could potentially fall. Hit support again. Something to watch out. I would set alert here. Create alert. We'll say at or below. And we'll say right around $1.40-ish at or above this. I'm gonna just put this at my watch list just so I can keep an eye on it. We'll do one more good one. Let's do Apple. Apple's in the top 10 of my stock bot watch list over here. I'll show you my Discord right quick. So anytime when you use the most popular stock or the stock channel over here, you can just do, for example, iPop, and StockBot will automatically bring up the most popular stocks. Oops. So it'll bring up this and it'll give you the most popular trading within the last hour or so. Then we have another one over here, gainers and losers. Will tell you the top gainers and top losers. This is a really good platform to use. I love it. I got, a lot of people that likes it. So we're gonna use that. So we're gonna type in Apple, APPL. Let's go Apple, come on. We'll give that a second. Let's see if I can click on this and bring up my Apple. Where's Apple at? Where is Apple? There you go. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and close this back. I'm not sure why it didn't allow me to put it in. So looking at the 5-minute chart from this past week, you can see that it had a pullback. You can always normally expect a pullback on a lot of stocks. If you start looking at the chart patterns from like the 5-day, 5-minute example, 5-minute, 5-day, this has been on an uptrend. You can see this day here, it went up, then had a pullback to the SMA, and then it continued to go up. And then after market hours, it just kind of dropped off, busted below the simple moving average 180 day, and then it gapped after hours from here up to here. It squeezed, came back down. It held kind of pre-market, went up, came back down, hit the SMA. It pulled up, hit near the SMA again, but it was constantly an uptrending pattern. But you could see that almost generally it has always a pullback. 5-day, 15 minutes, 1, 2, 3. Sometimes you can go hour into a pullback, and then it finally takes off from there. Let's see if we can find another pullback as an example. Yeah, this would be a pullback here. I mean, not at market open generally, but I mean, there was still a pullback. So that's always something to pay attention to. So if you would have bought here, bought at market open, right about here, bought at market open on this candle, you could see that it wasn't going anywhere. And it just, you would probably been upset, mad that, it busted where you bought in at, let's say in this general candle area. And now you sold it down here, and then look what happened. It went up a little bit and then had a pullback, blah, blah, blah. And then it gapped. So you could have just said, I'm going to hold it a day, or you went for a loss. So you got to always pay attention to how the candlesticks are moving, and definitely look at the news, what's happening. But Apple is continuing to uptrend. Let's look at the 180-day year. So there's that coronavirus. This is my Fibonacci sequence. It is in the golden area right now, so there is a high potential that it can just take off again to at least the 327 area. Let me get rid of this Fibonacci here, remove, so we can see what's going on. Let's remove this too, and remove this one. No, remove drawing. Okay, so, and we'll remove this drawing here. Alright, so this is the 1 year delta. You can see that there is Apple fell during the coronavirus, picked up, fell again, hit a bottom, upside down hammer, reverses. It signifies a reversal coming, which it did. It gapped up. Not all the time it's like that, but the majority of the time. And then it tried to hold above the SMA here, the simple moving average. It couldn't, so the next couple days it kind of like hung out, and then it just gapped down. Between these two gap down, then it was a gap up. Apple continued to uptrend above the SMA. It hit the top Bollinger Band, came back down, hit top Bollinger Band, gapped up, came back down to the exponential moving average, hit that area, and then it just continued to an uptrend here. And right now, this would be a support level, I would say. I would use this as a support level here. Let's go out to this candle over here. Support right about here. So that would be a new support. Becomes old resistance. This would have been right here. Theoretically, from these candles coming across over here. Zoom in a little bit. So these set of candles here would have been a resistance at one point, which you can see it kind of broke above here, and then it came back below. Couldn't hold above that support level / resistance at the time. Hit the exponential moving average, then came back up, and it just busted and held. And now this would be a support. So if the next couple candles and no bad news come out, you can expect this stock to go back to, this would be a resistance here. So you can make a potential profit if the market is good. A 2.25 increase roughly from 310 to 316. Or if it touches support down here to resistance, would be a almost 4.5%. So there's always potential. Just pay attention to what news is coming out. Don't buy in if it's already high of day and then the stock drops, because that's where a lot of people get nervous. Like if you bought here and you seen a tank here, that's a dollar drop, and if you have a couple shares, it might not be so much, but I mean it's still money being lost. And a lot of people like to, oh man, the stock is going to go down, and then they wind up selling here, and then it just takes off. So try not to buy here. You got to find that support area like this, signifying a reversal down here and showing an uptrend, a consolidated uptrend. So that will set I already have alerts here, but I'll do it again. So at or below, create alert. At or below. And I already have this for at or above, so we'll put Apple in here, even though I already have it. This is just for demonstrations. So now let's look at the top gainers and losers. We'll look at a few of the top gainers and a few of the top losers. So we'll type in Papa Tango Golf X-Ray, PTGX. Now you can see that it had a massive spike on this day. So let's see what the earnings says. Earnings negative 0.64 cent, 0.7 minus 7.2 actual. Aftermarket hours. So this was aftermarket hours, so I guess they had somewhat of a good earnings because it spiked. So this is a 1 year delta. So let's take a look at a 3 week to see where it was previously. So let's zoom out here. Okay, so there was a high of 23.97 up here, and it goes even higher than that on the further chart timeline. So here's that gap down on a 3 year, which would have been July 2018. It looks like. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. July 2018. April 2018. It gapped down. Probably had bad earnings or something, which it could be right here. And the stock kind of traded sideways the whole time for the most part in these first couple of months. weeks for the first couple of weeks, and then I mean there's always potential for profit. You can see that on here is almost the same pattern as here, almost. So you could have just bought in here, sold here, bought in here, sold up here, bought here, sold up here, bought here, sold up here. That's why we use these studies, the Bollinger Band, EMA, and SMA. We also use these to our advantage. The relative strength index and the MACD indicator shows an uptrending right here, which is this candle. The 180 days right here, and give me 1 second. So we're looking at the PTGX here. Here would be a roughly around a resistance area. Right now it did held above, but we do not know what is happening Monday. It could come back down. If it came back down, there's one major support over here off them two double top candles. There could be a few in between, but I don't want to fill up this whole charting with just these lines, you know. Let's look into the 180 day. So yeah, on 180 day, it was just, you know, traveling pretty much sideways. I mean, there's always potential for profit. Like from here to here is 28%. If you could always catch it on the Bollinger Bands, not always. You gotta remember, not always these indicators are like that or accurate. They're accurate, but I would say 85% accurate. And you can see here that alright, so right now it's holding above the this support here, but we gotta see what Monday brings. It does look like it could hit I mean it already did, it already busted here, but it couldn't hold above it. You can see that it didn't hold above. Let's look at the 5-minute 5-day. Let's zoom out here. So yeah, the whole time it's been trading down here. They had good earnings. That's the only reason why it spiked. We could see probably normally these therapeutic ones will probably fall. I'm almost certain that it will in the near future again. But it's something to keep an eye on. So I'm not going to add this one to my watch list. So let's look at restore sell. Let's look at the next one. BTU, Bravo Tango Uniform. So Peabody Energy. In the last 5 days, it trended down. The Friday, it trended up. Let's look at the year mark. See what's up. So yeah, this stock I would probably not even touch because it's just really downtrending here. It's just nothing but a downtrend. I mean, here's one support. Resistance. Here's the other resistance. Here's another resistance right about here. Let's zoom into this area down here. This would be your support level down here. I mean, there is a potential for profit going up. I can see it trading in between here. It could either squeeze low or it can squeeze high and have a breakout. But that's something to pay attention to. There'd be also right around here another resistance, actually. Right about there. Roughly right around there. So if it breaks above here, there's a potential for profit from $4.57 up to $8. I'm gonna put this one in my watch list. BTU. We're gonna say just in case, because I always want to buy low, unless if you're short and then you want to buy high, then sell low. We're gonna say at or below, and then we're gonna say at or above here. Okay. So now we have the top movers, top gainers. Let's look at SIG. Let's look into the 180 day first, and then we'll look at SIG. 180 day, yeah, it's just the same thing. The SMA is trading down, and these candle patterns are trading underneath. As soon as this pops up above the SMA and holds above the SMA, then it's a potential that it could be signs of a reversal. I mean, on 180 day, it does showing that it is going up. Same thing with this. This is showing that it's on the overbought side. Here it gapped after hours. You can see that on a 5-minute chart. Friday, it gapped here, had a pullback, and it gapped again. So this could be a potential forward buy for me. So let me BTU. Okay. So we put that one in. Let's look at SIG now. SIG, Sierra India Golf. Let's back out of here to the 180. No, 1 day, 1 year, 1 day. So yeah, here's that coronavirus mess here. There is a, I guess I was watching this stock in the past. There is a support level here at this area, would have been a support, and now the coronavirus made it, you know, bust below the SMA, and this area here would be a support. So let me make my support. So this would be a support here, resistance here, support here, and it's trading kind of, yeah, it's trading up, trending up here. You can see that. So let's put it further out. So they do have earnings coming up on the June 4th. So this candle could touch the previous resistance I have over here, support slash resistance. Now it's a resistance. So this candle can touch here and then just, you know, kind of trade in between here like this and then bust up, or it can trade in between and get about here in that area, or even on earnings and just pull down. I'm gonna add this one to my watch list. SIG. Alright, and let's do some, I do have an alert set here, you can see that. So we'll say I want to see around here, this would be the new support actually down here with these candles here. That's a support. So let's do that crate below or at or below, and then we'll say just be on the safe side, we'll create a new one at or above. Let's look at the 180 day chart. So it is holding above the SMA. The Bollinger Bands are opening up. You can see that here. They are opening up, which can signify an uptrend, which it does show here. But you definitely have to still pay attention because this is high, and you don't know if it's going to touch that first resistance. It could have a pullback, like I said earlier. But something to watch. If there's good news coming out, then the stock is going to move. If there's bad news, the stock is going to move down, and it could move down to here, could move down to here, could touch this, it could touch this, it could even move down to, you know, the previous low. All right, let's look at the losers of the week. This would be the losers. Papa Romeo Alpha. So you can see that on 180 day, it's just been trending, you know, underneath the SMA. It did hit a low of 15.75. We're going to look at a 3 week, see if there was any previous low other than that. Nope. Pro Assurance Corp. Okay, so let's look at a 1 year delta. So this is the coronavirus right here. Had a coronavirus had an uptrend. It couldn't hold above the Bollinger Band or the moving average. The next couple days it's been trading underneath. You can see that it popped above, but it's just continued a downtrend. So, and this was a heavy hit on earnings. So I'm pretty sure maybe possibility right around here would be, yeah, a resistance level. And right now there's no support. You would probably have to look back on a further timeline. Let's go to customize right quick. Add time frame. Let's say 10 years. Let's say a week. Okay, apply. Just curious to where this stock has been in the past 10-year week. And we'll zoom all the way out. So this is pretty much 10 years, 2020, 2019, 18, and so on. And I think you have to go further back to see where the support and resistance levels are from here. But you can pretty much pick it out maybe on here where it is. But to me, it's going to continue to go down, I believe. I'm not going to add this one to my watch list. Let's look at the next one, cats. Alright, so looking at cats, you can see in the past 10 years, it's, you know, relatively was a low stock, like in the pennies. And in this area, it pushed around maybe 242, then fell down, you know, around 11 cent. So not every stock moves like this. There's penny stocks that I've seen that just stayed penny stocks the whole time. Here they had something major happen, probably like, so they did a reverse split. And that's what pushed the company to, you know, so it's not in the sub pennies anymore, which right around here was $1.84. And then after the reverse split, you know, it started just pushing and started holding above the EMA in between the Bollinger Bands and started, you know, continue to push. So if you would have bought like at 11 or 12 cents, I don't know how many shares, like a couple thousand, and they did a reverse split of 1 to 6. So for every 6 shares that you held, you would now have 1. So you could do the math that if you held like 3,000 shares, you would now have, you know, whatever the 6-1 ratio is. And then it had a pull up here, came back down. You know, it still was trending, you know, an ascending trend here during the October of 2018 all the way until, you know, 2019, and then it, you know, continued to push, had a pullback, try to push some more, had bad earnings probably right around here, upside down hammer, and then it, you know, continued to go up even with this, was this 3-year week. So let's look at the 1-year delta. So it seems like the coronavirus to me didn't really affect the stock because now we're in the day chart areas. This could have been a corona right here actually, so it did affect it. It had a low of, there was a hammer again showing us reversal, you know, and it went up, gapped up here, continued to uptrend. This would have been a nice stock to buy at 850 and just held it to around up here, and it's just been uptrending every day, uptrending. So now there's that pullback, there's a spinning top which it did not hold for the next 2 days. There's a pullback, so this would be like a support area. So let's do that. Right around here, support. Yeah, this is definitely a support area right about here with these crossing. The resistance, definitely resistance here, and a, yeah, resistance about here. But you can see, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's showing down a downtrend on a MACD. Like I said, it's not 100% correct, these indicators all the time, but it's showing a downtrend right now, and you can see that a downtrend here, the start of the crossover of the blue over the white. And then it just the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this past week, to include last Friday, I guess, the first, it just downtrended. So this is something to pay attention to. It could downtrend to the another example would be this SMA, since it's traveling above the SMA and has that pullback. This would be a support unless if it breaks support. So I'm gonna put a support level right there at the, because it's moving forward. I don't need to pull it way out here. It could pull down to here, and then this could be a dip buy. But now I'm going to add this to my watch list because I'm quite curious. Cats. This could be a play. If it does bounce down here, there's a potential from $16-ish all the way up to 22. You know, and it could fall lower, but I'm going to pay attention to the stock. I'm going to set alert here. Create alert at or below. And then I'm just going to put one in the middle around 20 bucks just to, you know, just to pay attention to the stock at or below. And then we're going to say like right about here at or above. At or above, because if it moves up, that means it's, you know, passing this general area, and we could still make a profit from 26 to 30 bucks. That should be $3 roughly. So we're gonna go ahead and add that one already. So let's look at another one. True. Tango Romeo Uniform Echo. So looking at the 1 year delta on this one, there's that coronavirus right about here, and it's been nothing on a descending chart pattern. You can see it's trading. It tried to trade, it tried to hold right here above the SMA, and it didn't. It popped back down. It touched the EMA, middle Bollinger Band, and it tried to hold again, but it's just higher lows and lower lows. One more time, higher lows, and lower lows. There's that lower high, excuse me. Yeah, higher lows and lower lows, and you can see that. And here it started to pick back up. They seem to have okay earnings, but they didn't hold. They even gapped down. This is where the market closed. The market opened and closed. So we're looking here at a general support right about there. There's another support level right about here. This would also act as a support right about here with all these candles. You can see that with these ones here. And I suspect this coming week it could even drop even lower than this. So I'm going to go ahead and set alert for this one. Set alert for this one. That was a mistake of alert. We'll do it again. I think I forgot to say at or below. At or below. And then we'll say current alert at or below. So let me back out some so we can see what's happening. So you can see that the candle pulled up to around the SMA, simple moving average of 180 days. Let's back out just a tad bit more so we can see what's happening over here. So this acts as a resistance, so we're going to go ahead and put a resistance level in there. Right about here is a good resistance from these support of these candles. So resistance. So there's a potential for profit on this of either from here to right around here, this general area, of 32% from 269 to 357, roughly around 78-cent gain. So I'm gonna add this one to my watch list. RUE. All right, let's look at another one. How about ANIK? The stock is a little bit pricey. It's around $30. ANIK. Alpha November India Kilo. Alpha November India Kilo. So we're looking at the 1 year chart again. Oh, that was a massive spike down, and that's the coronavirus right here. So this is on a descending chart pattern. You can see right about there, and it held above that line I just drew. Just held above it. Right now it's holding above. There was that gap down on this one. That's the support area right about here. I would say right about there is the support on that one. There's also another would be a resistance now right there. Resistance there. Yeah, pretty much resistance. Double top. Even though this is a downtrend, this is still, you know, I mean, it didn't hold. It couldn't hold this area. So you can probably expect down here would be a support for right now. They do have earnings, so they had a bad earnings day. So that's why that candle dropped the way it did right there. Let's see, can I zoom in? So yeah, they had bad earnings. You can see this one kind of closed right around market open. And then the next day, which was Friday, it had a gap down. So This would be also right here considered a resistance level, the 180-day SMA. So I am not going to add any symbols to this one or alerts to this one. We're going to just continue with the next one. Let's look at GTT. GTT, Golf Tango Tango. So they have earnings coming up. You can see it with this one here. Earnings coming up on 22nd of July. Here's that earnings day down here. Oh, that's, what the heck happened? Golf Tango Tango. Okay, here we go. So they had bad earnings. So actually, it's the 8th. So last Friday. They didn't have too great of earnings. There was even a gap down. You could see it from where the market closed at up here. And it just gapped down here. Let's look back up here. Also, it's been on a descending chart pattern. The reversal's down here around 4. Let's see if that's a hammer. Nope. Not even a doji. It's flat top. So in this area here, you can see that it popped above, double top. It did pass above the SMA. It held. Coronavirus came along, pushed the stock down. Had almost pretty much a double bottom here. Right about here would have been your double bottom. That'd be a support level. Your resistance here. So I mean, I think this stock can go down to right about here. That's another support level right there with these candles. So we're gonna go ahead and put this one in GTG, Golf Tango Tango, and let's set up alerts. Create alert at or below, and then we'll say yeah, we'll put another one in right about here. Say at or above, because it is right now. This one's trading below the SMA. You can see that it is showing a downwards trend. So I think this stock will continue to at least pull down to around 721-ish, around there, plus or minus. And then you can see this candle here had even a pull back down all the way to 507. So this was one day. So if you would have bought, like if it went down here and pulled back up, you would have made, you know, a good chunk of change. So I already have a couple alerts set. So okay. So we'll do one more. So let's look at my other stock watch list here. Let's see what's happening with Facebook. Oh no, let's look at Facebook. Ooh, Facebook is moving back up, close to where the coronavirus is. They're having not so good. I mean, they're having good days. They're going up. They're moving up. It's just these candles are kind of closing real tight together. It is above the golden mark here on the 127, the Fibonacci. The inputs I have for these are Nikola Tesla's 369. So the coronavirus came in, hit a low of 137. The stock pulled up to let me remove this. The stock pulled up to here and then had a gap down, sell off, bounced here, and then continued to gap up, and it just stayed above the EMA here. Had a gap down, bounced around the EMA in a little middle Bollinger Band, then gapped up the next couple days. The next day, it even gapped up here a little bit. You can see that there's just a small gap from here to here. Here was a huge gap because of earnings. Even though they didn't really do too hot on this day here, it still pulled down, went up. So let's see why or where in that area would be a support or resistance. So I already have these lines here. That would be one support coming off from over here, this general area. Yeah, so these candles over here. This also SMA acts as a support right now. These were my previous support and resistance levels. Right now it's trading above this one. There would be another one here, right about there. and you can see that it didn't hold. That candle spiked past it but didn't pop above it. And there's another one right there. So we could see Facebook could potentially, with all the marketing that's going on, people making online businesses, and they're paying for to promote the ads or promote their page, promote their groups. That's how Facebook makes money, and especially from the ad commercial or the commercials and stuff. And that's how Facebook has continued to move up. This stock can really go probably to maybe 300 by the end of this year. So, but I already have Facebook in my watch list. I'm waiting for this to pull down, maybe to right around here. So we're going to say alert, and we'll say at or below. And you can see that the SMA is crossing over the EMA, which is good. That's showing a sign that it's uptrending. But we'll see what kind of news happens this week during the coronavirus. So for so that concludes the stock watch. So we got our watch list here. We got our watch list down here. We're going to keep an eye on what's happening. We don't want to buy in too early. We don't want to buy in. You definitely don't want to buy in too late. You definitely have to use chart patterns. They definitely help when you put these drawings on, whether if it's the Bollinger Band, simple moving average, EMA, exponential moving average. You definitely have to have support and resistance. Like I said, these studies are not 100%. I would probably say around 80%. And I'll show you one more example right quick. Tesla. I love Tesla. You can see my support and resistance. I bought Tesla on this downtrend here. Pretty much right about here, and I made a quick $300 profit. And then this was a Thursday, and this was a Friday. If I would have just held it, I would have made potentially around maybe $2,500, but I didn't, but I'm not going to be greedy either. I made 300, but you can see that they do hit the support and resistance area. It even pulled down and it hit my support line. But the next day, Friday, wasn't so good for Tesla because of Elon Musk texted out saying Tesla's priced too high anyway, which either the President of the United States, whether if it's the CEOs of the company, if the President of the United States says it's good or bad news on a general market, it could make the market fluctuate in either way. We've seen that when he put more sanctions on China, about how they didn't let the world know in time about this COVID-19. What happened to the stock? It dropped. Pretty much almost the whole market dropped a couple hundred points, 500 in some cases. And then if the CEO texts about or tweets about their company, it could fluctuate the market big time. And you can see that it was even a gap down for Tesla that day. But it hit my support, held my support, and then went up the next day. So that's why these lines are very important. I already had these lines set out from when I was trading over here with these ones. So trend lines do matter. Support and resistance do matter. You can get an understanding, because you don't want to buy here. You don't want to buy, let's say, here, and you can see that it was, not doing so well. It was just holding support for the last couple days. I mean, you could have made money on this one. I mean, there was a gap up to around here, and it just had a sell-off, and then a sell-off. So if you bought, like, say, options contracts for it to go up, and if you didn't, you're like, yeah, Thursday and Friday is going to be good days. Well, look what happened. If you bought around this candle here, it busted below. So now you're paying money, and you're like, well, you know what? That was just a bad Thursday. Let's hope for a Friday. Look what happened Friday. So now you lost all the money you put in for options trading. But yeah, come join us on our Discord and Facebook group. Hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Have a good day, Profit Bulls.